I'm going to show you how to set up a webinar with WebinarJam. My name is Doug Cunnington. I'm from Niche Site Project, and I write about Amazon affiliate sites, internet marketing, and applying project management to those disciplines. Now, this video, I'm going to show you how I've been just setting up webinars using WebinarJam. It's super simple, and here's how I got into it. So, for the last few years, I've heard about how webinars can really change someone's business and how effective they are in selling. Well, and I'm trying to think back, the first time I heard about it was maybe like Lewis Howes and a few other people in internet marketing, and essentially they were selling a lot of expensive courses and or materials through their webinars. So I thought, hey, that's a good thing to get into. Turns out I haven't been selling on webinars at all. In fact, anytime I've tried to sell anything on a webinar, it didn't work out so well. Now, I think I probably just need practice, but it turns out that holding webinars that's just a great way to connect with your audience and just people in general. So at the beginning of this quarter, so it's like May of 2017, and at the beginning of this quarter, I was talking to a person in my mastermind group, and she mentioned, one of her friends held webinars for a few weeks in a row and just kind of made a push and got better at it and sort of gained momentum. Eventually, this individual ended up charging for those webinars, which she recorded, and selling them later. Well, I haven't done that, but I did do 12 different webinars this year. So almost every single week I held a webinar, covered a lot of material. I actually went through, just very long webinars. I think the shortest one was about an hour and 15 minutes, and the longest was 2.5 hours. So I really gave a lot. I answered all the questions that I could. And the reason I've been able to do this is because of WebinarJam. Now, previously, I did try to do some webinars just on Google Hangouts. You can actually do these webinars on Google Hangouts, or I think it may be like live streaming at this point. I'm not sure what Google has rebranded it, but essentially you can run this on YouTube. Now, in fact, WebinarJam is running on top of YouTube live streaming, whatever it's called. So it's an interface that lays on top. So the underlying technology is still YouTube. However, WebinarJam does a lot of things that makes it easier. I'll talk about some of those in a second. As we go through their sales page, I think it'll be pretty clear. But I guess the biggest thing for me is it automates the emails that are sent out, and it adds a chat interface to to the dashboard when I'm doing my webinar. So it just makes it easier. And in fact, I'm going to set up a brand new webinar today. I'll show you right now, and then I'm going to set up one for the next week too. So I'm going to get back on board with my frequent webinars. And the thing is, it's so easy to create a webinar and then copy the same webinar configuration, and it just makes it easier. So we'll look at that. Hopefully I'll be able to do it a little quickly. I did some preparation ahead of time. Let's go over to the WebinarJam screen. And by the way, I'm an affiliate for WebinarJam. I'll put a link below, but I actually suspect a lot of people are not into webinars as much. But if you have an audience, I do encourage you to check it out. It makes it way easier to hold a webinar. So let's take a look at the sales page. We'll go over here. I see they put a banner up. They have, higher end technology where you could have sharp video with 6 presenters. At most, I've had 2 presenters, myself and one other person, but most of the time I'm just rolling solo and that sort of thing. So they have a nice sales page. They try and get you in, start with a click. These guys are great marketers here. So as we scroll down, we see they do offer 6 feeds. WebinarJam is kind of one of the state-of-the-art technologies out there for affordable WebinarJam interfacing. Now, I know there are a few other companies out there. It escapes me. I think there's like GoToWebinar, but a lot of those enterprise level are much more expensive. So let's see, what was it cost here? The deal today is $33 a month paid annually. So that's actually a pretty good deal. I do pay annually, and I think they have like a 30-day money back guarantee or some kind of trial period or something, so you can test it out and make sure it's for you. So as we go through here, I'll just want to point out a couple of the cool features here. So the Jam session room connects directly to YouTube Live, so that's how this thing works. They describe some of the technology behind it. There's a lot of updates. So actually, there's a couple other things. I mentioned the part that I like is it automatically sends out the reminder emails in an easy way. The other part is they have this landing page builder. So a lot of people will use like lead pages, but lead pages is pretty expensive. I don't actually use lead pages, even though I hear it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't do that. But they have their own landing page builder, and I mean, they're awesome. Like, it works fine. So I don't worry about landing pages. Let's see, you can actually charge for webinars if you want to do that. You can, let's see, you can go on the air in 90 seconds, so you can actually just like fill out the fields and you're on the air. I'll actually test that later on today. I had an issue with a webinar a couple weeks ago, and I'm not sure what the problem was, but I'll check that out. I need to test it just to make sure I can have webinars. It integrates to Aweber, so if I'm working on list building my list, then I can integrate it directly with Aweber, and they actually tie into most modern email service providers. As we go through here, oh, I didn't even know about Facebook Live, so I need to check that out. I didn't realize they do Facebook Live also. So I'm learning stuff today. I'm glad I'm going through the sales page, because if I can do Facebook Live and YouTube, this is fantastic. This is going to be really great. So as we're scrolling down, you see they actually give you like a free training course, which is actually a really good training course. If you're new to the concept of webinars and like what stuff you need to cover, then these are they really could charge for this. They're a software company, so they're giving you training for free, and then they want you to use the software. So as we scroll down, okay, there's a lot of more information. Okay, this is actually a really good chart to review here. I won't go over everything, but if you actually do look at GoToWebinar, Hangout, Stealth Seminar, and so on, you'll see that WebinarJam actually is one of the best out there. That's why I searched around a lot, and it's not a cheap service overall if you're just getting started. I mean, when I shelled out like the first $500 to get started, I was a little nervous, but it's turned out to pay off in a huge way. So, okay, as we're scrolling down, I see this sale. We're only like 1/4 of the way through the sales page, so I'll wrap it up here in a second. But you can see they have like best-selling authors, very prominent internet marketers, and other people that are not internet marketers, but just marketers and or influencers in some way. So I will move on. I'll go ahead and log in. So I'll pause here for a second. I'm going to pause the screen as I log in. And we're back here. So here's the dashboard here, and it's a simple interface. They keep it pretty clean overall. There's this notice down here at the bottom. Google changed how YouTube was working on Hangouts, so it's now all like YouTube live streaming or YouTube Live or whatever they call it. So if you're just starting to use WebinarJam, it won't impact you at all. But I was around for the transition period, and really all you had to do was like click a different button. It's no big deal. So For the quick start, they have training throughout, right? They have videos and training throughout. So at any screen, if you're not sure what to do, you can click on a button. I'll show you as we go, but you can click on a button and it essentially shows you exactly what to do. So this should be pretty quick, I hope. So we're going to click on New Webinar. So this is how each of the 10 steps are laid out. Some of them are longer than others, and we'll go through every single little thing here. So basic configuration, you click on the pencil to edit it. So we'll do the webinar name, and this webinar is going to be how to get promoted in your corporate job. And well, here's the subtitle here. Oh, so the webinar name is what I see in my dashboard, and the webinar title, I usually call those the same thing. The webinar description is sort of like the subtitle, so I say find out what you really need to focus on to get promoted and it's not doing your job. And I could just say, I learned this the hard way, something like that. So this is webinars on demand, so you can list it in their directory or not. I usually don't because I assume no one's really going to care, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I can list it there and maybe. The category, so I'll note it as self-help and personal development. It's kind of personal development. So you just click Save, and then the basic configuration is saved. We'll just click here again so you can see if you want to change anything, that's how you do it. So you can come in here and just click Save. So webinar schedule, I am going to, okay, so you can hold it right now if you want to, or you can schedule it, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to list it as a single presentation, which is what I normally do, like 99% of the time. I'm going to hold it on Thursday, May the 4th. I'm going to schedule it for noon, and actually, I'm going to check my schedule real quick to double check. Pause. Yep. So we're all clear for a noon time webinar. That is a good time for me, and so that's 2 p.m. Eastern. That's noon here in the Mountain Time Zone. So you just click Add, and then it's listed there. So you click Save. Connect your YouTube account, which it should already have been done. So WebinarJam broadcast via YouTube Live. That's what it's called, YouTube Live. So it's already connected to my account, so we're good to go. So I can click Save, and now it's configured. We'll move on to step 2, presenters and admins. So this is pretty easy to add since, you know, it's me and it's already connected to my account. But we will just list it there, and we'll say founder of niche site project. I'm the webinar owner, the active speaker. I'll change the photo, of which I have a photo somewhere in here. Always fun to watch someone try and look for images in their folders. All right, I think it's here somewhere. There we go. Boom, found. Okay, so we'll save that. Oh, you got to add the admin so that there's one admin listed. Now I can click Save. Now we move on to step 3, which is the registration page and process. So you can get real complicated with this stuff and like design your own page. But as I mentioned, one of the big benefits is that WebinarJam actually has like awesome templates. So they have one that has like a big landing page image in the background or something simpler. These two are tied at converting at 26%. So I actually keep it simple. I like this one. So we'll customize and use that template. This is where we can put in our title again. and the subtitle. So I just keep it, the same as what we noted before, and I usually say something like claim your spot now. Ask for the first name and email address. I do like to get the first name because it basically means there's a higher quality lead. So, if you're just building your email list, you're trying to get sheer numbers, that's one thing, but I'm trying to make sure at the end of the day, these are high quality people on the email list. So we can click the preview, we see how to get promoted in your corporate job, find out what you really need to focus on to get promoted and is not doing your job. So people like those kind of headlines. It's a mysterious thing. So it's presented by me. The time is right, Thursday the 4th, noon, Mountain Time. Convert. Okay, and if we click here, I think it actually says it won't demo because it's in a preview mode. So that's cool. Understand that. We're moving on over to save this. It's good to go. Next is the notification. So this, again, is one of the big advantages to using WebinarJam. I usually use their server just because it'll, I know it's going to work and I don't have to connect to my server or anything like that. So I'll just say, Doug Cunnington. Actually, I think a lot of my emails say Douglas Cunnington. And then it's Doug at site project.com. And good to go. Okay, so we're using their server. We put in who it should be from and what email address. And they have pre-selected these emails. So you have a welcome message that they get right away. They have the pre-webinar reminders, and then they have the last minute reminder, and then a post-webinar. So you can add, these are the ones they recommend, and this is what I do as well. I'll show you exactly what timing we do as we go. The one thing that I do to make sure that these emails sort of stand out just a little bit, I put in, so they have the confirmation, your webinar link, and I'll usually put in get promoted in your corporate job, webinar link. And I'll go ahead and just put some quotes around this so it stands out just a tiny bit within their inbox. So send the email immediately upon registration. So that's cool with me. I'm actually just going to change the font family. On my site, I usually use Arial, so I'm just going to switch it over to Arial right there. And then I pretty much keep it straight up, right? I just keep it straight up. I don't put a personal message in there, although that potentially could help a bit. So we see they have, now that this is filled out, they get this email immediately. This is a subject line, and you can send a test email to review it. You can edit it or delete it. So we're going to continue on. We're going to add this email reminder. We're going to send it 12 hours ahead of time. We are going to mix it up just a bit, and we'll say getting promoted in your corporate job reminder. And there's no set way to do it. I mix these up. Sometimes I'll put this part at the end, but in this case, let's try it like this. Okay, so immediately 12 hours before, and the last minute reminder, we're going to add an email. We're going to say the webinar alert, we're about to start the get promoted at your job webinar. So again, I just always mix it up. They're recommending 15 minutes beforehand. I think that's a great idea, just to get people just before they are going to miss it. So you got to remind them. And they show you the timeline here. So they register, they'll get 3 emails before the webinar. They have the live, I guess the actual webinar happens here, and then right afterwards, you can have a replay. And I do replays because, well, frankly, I'm not selling anything in these webinars, so it's cool with me if people don't make it and they watch it later. I will send it to all registrants because sometimes even if people attend, they don't actually get a chance to watch the whole thing. So reminder, get promoted at your corporate job. Webinar replay video. So again, we're just going to make sure it's over in Arial. So, the whole site experience is Arial font. So tiny thing. And it's probably funny because I'm sure my site has like 50 different fonts on there, but I'll control what I can. So just click save. So all those notifications are configured, and we can just double check. We see 4 emails are sent, 3 before the webinar, and 1 after. Great. So I'll just cancel that since it's already saved. We'll proceed to step 5, integration. Okay, so we're going to integrate this to Aweber. And what I did was I created a button an opt-in form over on Aweber, and I just pasted in my autoresponder code. And this has been saved from a previous webinar. And this is, by the way, the HTML code. So it's the HTML code. If you don't know how to pull that from your email service provider, then they have documentation there. 100% of them will. So this is already saved, so I'm not going to click this button, but the first time you do it, you would click this, save information for future webinars. So I'll go ahead and do it. No harm in actually doing it. And click save. So that is now linked up to the autoresponder. So I'll click save. That's good to go. Third-party tracking system. I don't do this. This is more for if you have any kind of connection with Google Analytics, Facebook, or if you're selling something that is more important. For me, it doesn't matter. API custom integrations. I don't need to do this, so I will just turn that or leave that inactive. So we can move on to the thank you page. So this is after they register, like what they see. So I don't normally do a custom video, although that could be a nice touch coming up soon. Display custom text message. So, all right, so there's nothing here off the bat, but we'll go ahead and say, we'll make it a little bit more interesting. We'll say, thank you for registering. And I could say, hey, it's Doug here from Niche Site Project. And you can see how slow that I actually type. So I'm gonna pause here for a second, fast forward it so it looks like I'm a little faster. So I say, thank you for registering. Hey, it's Doug here from Niche Site Project. I had a few corporate gigs over the years, and it took me a long time to figure out how to actually get promoted. I had to talk to mentors and friends to do the right things. I had to talk to mentors and friends to learn about the right things to do. So I hope that actually makes sense. It's always good to read this stuff aloud, by the way. I earned 3 major promotions in my career and went from making 50K to 100K in 8 years. This ballpark, I think that's about right. It may have been like 7, but it's pretty close. Before realizing the internet marketing was calling my name. I'll share the secrets that your career counselors and mentors aren't telling you. See you there. Then I'll say, done. Cool. And we'll go ahead and just, got a pretty big ego on me, so we're going to go ahead and place an image on here of which I don't have handy. So we won't do that right now, so we'll just save it. Not a big deal. Allow auto subscriptions to future webinars. So basically, you can allow people to auto subscribe to future webinars. So I've tried this both ways, and you know what? Let's just give it a test. We'll say yes. Survey the registrants. So sometimes you could, ask people about their experience level. And in fact, you know what? Let's create a short. We'll allow multiple answers. We'll just say sort of like help me learn about your career. And then we'll say, drag that over. What's happening? So here's a survey headline. Oh, I click add module. All right, so we'll allow a short answer. I'll just say, we'll just say this is a free response. So, what industry do you work in? And we'll say, have you found that it's hard to get promoted? Okay, so that'll give us like some idea of the people that are registering and that will be attending. You know, if someone actually fills out the survey, they're like pretty interested and they're probably going to attend or at least like watch the replay. So this is thank you stuff, and that's basically all you have to do. So you can check out the preview and we can see this is what it looks like. So congratulations, you've been registered. You know, this link is disabled in the preview mode. You can subscribe, so auto-subscribe to future webinars hosted by Doug Huntington, so that's cool. The date will be posted here. They can add it to their calendar. Thank you for registering. So here's the message. And in the past, like I've actually put in some more images. Like if I was doing something about an Amazon affiliate site, I would put in earnings screenshots so people see that I know what I'm talking about. In this case, you know, I'm bolding this. I'm saying I basically doubled my salary over 8 years, which I don't know if that's good or not. I think it maybe is. I wasn't like terribly, to be honest with you, I wasn't terribly ambitious in certain stages of the career. And when I actually focused, you know, it'd be like I'd focus for 2 years on getting promoted, get promoted. But there, obviously, if you do the math, I didn't work super hard the whole time. Okay, then here's the survey, and people can submit it if they want to. So that's about it. And I guess one good thing that I should do next time, if I actually do a video, I think it would be displayed in this area here. To do a video, to actually just state this would be good. And then say, hey, be sure you put this on your calendar, and I can maybe even give them more information. So that's something I could integrate in the future, but for right now, we'll just keep it like this. Okay. So now we're moving on to step 7, which is the live page. So display video on the countdown page. I don't do that. You can configure webinar polls, webinar offers, video injections, and social media buttons. So first off, I'm not going to do a video on the countdown page. So this is like before the webinar starts. So I usually don't do anything. It just has a webinar will start in a few minutes, and there's a normal sort of default video that they show. Next, polls. I will say let's add one question here. So we'll add a poll, and we'll say, I guess we could say, are you in the process of getting promoted now? And we'll just say yes or no. We'll save that. Oh, and you know what? I thought of a better question. I'll say, have you ever thought you should have been promoted, but you were rejected? Yes. And I can't even imagine anyone that wouldn't be in that position. So, and what we'll do, I thought I may be able to like scoot that up or put them in different order, but you know, it doesn't matter. we'll leave it like that. It's cool. If you're actually selling something on your webinars, you can put an offer in here. We won't do it now since I'm not selling anything, but you can essentially place the offer where the chat window is in the on the viewing area for the visitor, for the user, so that if you're selling something, you could say, hey, this is what we're offering. Just click here, and you can put a link, a button to the sales page. So it configures basically the same way we've been doing everything here. For pre-configured video injections, this is pre-recorded stuff on YouTube. So you can actually put together a webinar where you've shot, say, different segments, and I can go shoot something later on today that I want to just place in here. Maybe I'm going outside for a walk and I just want to shoot a 2-minute video, upload it to YouTube. So all you have to do here is add a new video, and then you put the name, the URL of the video. So YouTube or Vimeo work just fine, and then you have the duration. So you would just look at the video and see how long it is and put that in here. So we're not going to actually add one. I don't have anything specific. I have done this a couple times, and it's pretty cool because in a case where I did it, I had had my nice DSLR camera with a nice lens. So I shot like a 10-minute segment where I used the teleprompter and I just talked through, it was a much better delivery than if I was just doing it cold, like I'm doing right now. So you can do that and have a little bit like higher production value. So I'll just cancel this part because we're not putting one of those in. And the social media buttons, I'll say, yeah, you could show social media buttons, and we'll see how that goes. So it's just Facebook and Twitter. I don't know that that's actually paid off much, but I have one just for fun. Next is the replay. So you can actually disable the replay, but I'll enable the replay page, and that'll be sent out in that last email. So you just save that. When you enable it, it spawns a few other things that you need to configure. So one's a replica replay. So I just put the exact thing that I went through the live webinar. You can put another video, like some pre-recorded video of your choice, or you can redirect them to some other URL. But I do the replay. People want to see the webinar. They want to see the live footage, so that's what I give them. You can set the expiration date for the replay. I don't have an expiration date. People can watch it whenever they want. When it goes over to YouTube, I can keep it private or I can make it public. I'll go ahead and make it public because I'm just giving stuff away. So we'll make it public. Allow users to send questions from the replay page. I don't allow this because basically someone can watch the replay, and in the chat window they can type questions, and then I'd get an email. Well, I don't want to do that. So I just turn it off. I just turn it off. So in the replay, you can also have the social media buttons there. So and to go back to the questions from the replay page, I mean, maybe it would be a better user experience to have those questions enabled, but if I can limit the number of emails that I'm getting, well, I'm going to do it. So if someone wants to ask me a question, they can get to me. They can find me, right? So I just put a little bit of a barrier because I have the ability to do it. Okay, so moving on to the next part. So basically here we have charge to register to the webinar. Nope, it's free to register. Track the sales. Nope, I'm not selling anything. And then do I run an affiliate program? It's inactive. So none of this applies. So we'll just move it on. And then congratulations, we finished up. So we can go to the links here. So this is the link that I will send out to people. This is the link that I'll put on Ninja Site Project, my website, so that people can register. In fact, we can open the window here and take a look. Later on, we'll have the replay schedule, and this is actually the link here for it. Of course, we haven't shot it yet, so there's nothing there. And so this is it, right? Super simple when you actually click on it. you click on it, and then you end up with the opt-in box here, which is straightforward. This is one of the highest converting, and sure, you can make it fancier with images and all that stuff, but I don't. So that's how we set her up here. The other thing we could take a look at is, so auto-subscribe registrants from previous webinars. So 103 people opted in to auto-subscribe for upcoming. So I'm going to go ahead and subscribe them to this, and hopefully they'll be happy about that. So you can just click subscribe. So they're like in now. The presenter links here. So these are like the actual links that I would use to get into the, I guess, the live room and the control panel. So we could just take a quick look here, but I'm not going to initiate the actual thing. So the last minute check. So this is the stuff that you do as you're starting the webinar. So this is a story for another day, so we won't go through all this. But you see the opt-in page, and essentially this is how you set up one of these. And you could run a test if you want to. Maybe that's what I should have done initially. But you could run a test, and again, they have help screens throughout. So is this your first webinar? It always displays this. Now, let's go over here to my webinars, and you'll see I've done many other webinars here, as you can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to clone this. So now we have a new webinar that is a clone of the last one. This is why WebinarJam is awesome. So I just cloned it. I need to come up with some other, webinar. I need to come up with another webinar topic, which maybe, well, I don't know one right now. I was looking at my set of notes there. So we'll just leave this as the clone. And I'm going to say don't list it in this case. We'll just save it there. And then the webinar schedule, all you actually have to do is delete the time, and you can add another one. So it'll, like, I think I'm going to probably have the other webinar on like May the 11th. We'll keep it on. Actually, let's scoot it. I don't know if I want to do one on that quickly, but okay, we'll scoot it to the Tuesday. How about that? We'll do a Tuesday, and we'll do a noon time frame again. And then you see there we have the 9th. The 9th is the next Tuesday. And then, so that's scheduled there. We're good to go, and we can delete the other time there. So we just save that. And basically all you need to do at this point is, change the title, as we mentioned here. And then you'd need to change of course, the registration page. Anywhere where you reference the title, you just need to put the new title in. That also includes the notifications. This part is the most time consuming because you just have to click edit, and then you'd change the title here. But that's all you have to do. And it holds our font from last time. Remember, we changed the font over to Arial, so we see Arial, and all you have to do is change the title there. So in that way, you could basically set up a new webinar in 5 minutes if you just copy one of the old ones. So as we go through here, there are only a couple places where you have to make updates, and you merely edit the text. So it's pretty darn fast. And then we can go ahead and actually click finish, and you see you have new links again. So these are new links that you can have people subscribe to. And then so we have how to get promoted. This one's for May 4th. And then a few days later on Tuesday, we have how to get promoted in your corporate job. So you see it really only takes a minute or two once you get one set up. I wanted to go through it so you could see it. But once you get one set up, all you have to do is clone it. And then you have a new webinar, change the date, change the title. Super simple. And I will tell you, holding these weekly webinars, I was able to grow my email list by, I don't have the hard stats, but something like 30% or so over the last quarter, which is big. And the most important thing is the engagement was up. So I grew my email list, but I've been able to grow my email list in the past. The really important thing is the people that are on the list open the emails, and they watch these videos. Super important. They attend the webinars and they enjoy them. In fact, if you're watching this now, after we've been talking for so long, like, you're probably a person who actually attended the webinar. So I appreciate you attending. And if you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel. I put out a new video every week, sometimes 2 videos a week, not always, but sometimes. And I talk about internet marketing, project management, productivity, and my bread and butter is Amazon affiliate sites. So if you haven't seen any of those Amazon affiliate site teardowns, there's a whole playlist, like 14 at least, different Amazon affiliate sites that I go and critique. I talk about them. I talk about what I like. I talk about what I don't like. And if you haven't seen one of those sites, it's really helpful to go through and see what they actually look like. So I've talked a long time here. Thanks for watching. Check out WebinarJam. Let me know what you think of the video. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.